That was me in the crash on the Begode ET Max. This one right here. I got it brand new as a demo unit that's not for sale from Next Gen Mobility. And I was just doing some speed runs on it at about 35 miles an hour when suddenly I hit the floor. Let's discuss how it happened and why it happened and how it can be fixed. But before we do, please make it worth my while by hitting that subscribe button. It may not heal the physical pain, but it will inflate my ego just a little bit. All right, let's get into why this happened. So it is day 2 of having this wheel in my possession, and I decide it's time to take this wheel on some speed runs. I'm going up to about 45, 46 plus miles per hour GPS speed with ease. But as I start getting around 35 miles an hour and above, it just seems like it's getting a bit on the sketchy side. It seems like it's starting to wobble just a little bit. My mind immediately goes to thinking that it's just an issue with my pads. I think I'm just going to be putting these pads somewhere else. It's no big deal. I start moving to a different road, and fortunately, at least this one is a little bit lower speed at about 35 miles an hour. So as I'm going about 35 miles an hour, I feel some immediate loss of power. Something is wrong. I look down and I think I can hear some sort of hissing sound. I don't know what the deal is. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the ground. Now, let's be clear. I didn't actually aim for the grass. I just happened to fall that way, but it was pretty lucky that it turned out that way. And let me be the first to admit that I should have been wearing my wrist guards in this crash. I couldn't find them, and I wasn't going to let some silly wrist guards stop me from being able to ride that day. What are the odds something bad actually happening? Am I right? Well, anyway, I admit I made a mistake there. Also, my other mistake was not checking the tire PSI prior to ever taking it out for a ride. I did give it a squeeze and it seemed very firm, but that is the only test that I did on the tire itself. So after my crash and I'm inspecting it, I happen to find that the tire is completely flat. There is 0 PSI in this thing. So now it's confirmed that the tire suddenly deflated and the wheel itself did not cut out. That's a pretty good sign considering cutouts are a major concern. So a weird decision that they made is that Begode is using a tubeless tire on here, but they put an inner tube in it anyway. My guess is that because there's not much room between the motor and the rim, that they probably needed an angled valve, and sourcing that where there's not that much room there could be proving quite difficult. So instead, they just chose to use an inner tube. So 2 things could have happened. Number 1, when they were installing the tube, they were manhandling it and really being rough with it, and it caused some stress on it. And with a little bit of riding on it, the tube may have just moved and caused it to shift and caused a lot of stress against the valve, because ultimately the valve just sheared right off. The other theory, and I think this one is a lot more likely, is that the tire was way, way, way overinflated from the factory. The reason why I say this is twofold. Number 1, Begode has had a recent history and pattern of overinflating their tires from the factory. And the other reason is because at higher speeds, I was feeling wobbly and extra sketchy on it. And I don't normally feel that way. It's just, it seemed like it was way overinflated in hindsight. So how can this mishap be prevented in the future? Always, 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 before ever riding your EUC, check the tire pressure. Check what the tire pressure rating is on the side of the wheel, and then adjust it accordingly. There's a pretty decent chance that you may have to make some adjustments before you ride for the first time. Don't cancel your pre-orders over this. It's not something that is an inherent flaw in the build quality or anything like that. In fact, I think this is a really high quality and high durability EUC that I think it seems like it's fantastic. When I had an interview with Bob Yan, who's the former InMotion CEO and now the current owner / CEO of PidZoom, he was saying that quality control is one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest challenges in the EUC industry. So very likely we just have a lower paid employee that was just hired to assemble these EUCs that just wasn't really paying attention and didn't QC this enough. If you guys have any alternate theories about why this may have happened, please let me know in the comments because I'm really interested to know. And maybe, just maybe, Begode is also reading those comments and may be able to find exactly why this happened to make sure it doesn't happen again to other people. So never before in my wildest dreams would I have suspected that a tire would randomly blow out on me. Like, I've always feared that maybe a cutout might happen at complete random, but never just a tire blowout. That is so strange and so far out of left field. And I'm wondering, is this going to also become a pattern, or is this just a one-off event? This is a batch 1 ET Max, and so I'm wondering if other ET Max batch 1 users are also going to be experiencing the same issues that I just received. So definitely check your tire PSI. Lastly, I wanted to give another big shout out and thank you to James at Next Gen Mobility for sponsoring this video and sending this demo ET Max. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you will be automatically entered to a contest for $150 off of your next EUC. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.